Welcome, Algebra Tuesdays, to the homework help video, page 504, numbers 5 through 8. This might be the shortest homework assignment this year in Algebra 2, with only 4 problems, also time-wise, because these problems will not take long at all. But anyways, let's jump right into these, and let's see if we can't find the standard deviation of these numbers. Now, I believe the directions said to find the range. I'm not that worried about the range. We learned how to do that earlier in the year, and you've already been tested on that, so we're just going to find the standard deviation of these numbers. Okay, number 5. Now remember, you take your graphing calculator. Do I have that pulled up still? Let's see if I have. Yeah, I do. Good. Let's copy that real quick and bring it over to our homework here. And booyah, there we go. Now remember, the first thing you do is you want to enter these numbers into one of your lists. So you're going to hit stat right here, and then hit option 1, which is edit, and when you do that, your lists are going to pop up. Now for me, I entered this in list number 3, L3. So go ahead and pause the video and list all of these numbers wherever you want to list them, whatever list you want to use, and then restart the video. Okay, so after you've done that, it's very important that after you've entered all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 numbers, that you hit second quit or second mode for quit. So hit second mode and your screen should be clear. Now hit second stat, because you want this list word right here. So second stat, and then scroll over to the right to option math, and then scroll down to standard deviation. And when you do that, hit enter on standard deviation. That should pop up on your screen, standard deviation parentheses. Now for me, I'm going to put list 3, so I'm going to go right here. I'm going to hit second, and then 3, and L3 will pop up after the words standard deviation, and then hit enter. And when you do that, you're going to get 0.164. 0.164. Okay, now look at the answer here. Of course, this is the range. We don't care about that. Now, you're going to see all of your answers for all 4 problems are going to be off a little bit because they use the formula. So they had to round the average or the mean. And of course, your calculator does all the work for you. Your answer's a little more exact, so it'll be close. Though they got 0.15, we got 0.16, so that's fine. That's a really small standard deviation. So the average for these 8 numbers would be a great statistic to use. Alright, let's move on to number 6. Okay, you want to enter these 8 numbers. So the first thing you want to do is hit second and then stat. And then when you do that, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. I apologize. Just hit stat. Don't hit second. Just hit stat. And then hit option 1, edit. Then pick your list and enter these 8 numbers. Now go ahead and pause the video while you do that. And when you're done, then restart the video. Okay, I chose for my numbers list number 4. Okay, so now I'm going to hit second. If you've entered all of these numbers, then hit second quit. Okay, and now hit second stat, and then scroll over to math to the right, and then down to standard deviation. And then when you hit enter on standard deviation, you know what pops up here. I'm using the mouse, so it's hard to write this, but standard deviation parentheses. And for me, I'm going to put list 4, so I'm going to hit second and 4 for L4, and then hit enter. And I'm going to get 25.63. 25.63. Now obviously that's a huge standard deviation, so the average of these 8 numbers would not be a good statistic to use. They're getting 23.98. 25.63. Please trust me, that's only because we're using our calculators and they're using the formula, so they're rounding, and they're rounding throughout the problem, and we're not. Alright, number 7. Alright, we want to first of all enter these 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure why they keep using 8 numbers every time, but we want to enter these 8 numbers into your calculator, okay? So the first thing you want to do is hit stat. Once you push stat, hit option just edit. Now, pick your list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and enter these 8 numbers. Pause the video, do that, then restart the video once you're done. Now, one thing I'd like to say to you, if you saw the number 0 and didn't put it in because it's just a 0, that will mess up your answer. Remember, it's just like getting a 0 on a test. If you get a 0 on a test, I have to count that, because if I don't, it messes up your average, okay? So part of the standard deviation is finding the average of these numbers. Of course, your calculator does all that for you, but you have to enter the number 0, so if you didn't, enter it, okay? But if you've entered all 8 numbers, now you want to hit second quit or second mode. And now hit second stat, okay? Second stat. Scroll over to math, and then scroll down to standard deviation and hit enter. And of course, when you do, this will pop up on your screen. Alright? Now for me, I used list 5. So I'm going to hit second 5 for list 5, and this will pop up. Alright? And then hit enter, and you'll get, I'm getting 0.311. 0.311. And they're getting 0.29, so definitely close enough. Okay? So a pretty small standard deviation, so you definitely could use the average for these numbers as a good statistical evaluation. Alright, last one. We have, once again, 8 numbers. Kind of funny, but so the last problem, we're going to enter these 8 numbers into our calculator and find the standard deviation. So, first of all, you're going to hit stat, okay? And when you hit stat, then you want to hit option 1 for edit. Now pick your list. For me, I used list 6. So at this time, pause the video, enter all 8 of your numbers, then once you've done that, restart the video. Okay, now, next you want, if you've entered all 8 numbers, hit second quit to come out of the screen, or second mode, whatever you want to call it. Now hit second stat, and then scroll over to the right to math, and then scroll down to standard deviation and hit enter. When you do, this should pop up on your screen. STDDEV. And then hit list. For me, it's list 6. So I'm going to hit second 6 down here somewhere. And then hit enter. I'm getting this for my standard deviation, 6.39. 6.39. They're going to be off a little bit. That's fine. But that would probably be getting a little too large. That's a pretty good disbursement. Not horrible. It's okay, but it would probably be okay to use the average as the statistical evaluation of this group of numbers. That's decently small standard deviation. It's okay. So, okay, guys. I hope that this homework help video has been a help to you. If you have any questions,